Welcome, everyone. My name is Kenny Glavan, Councilman for Ward 6 in Biloxi. Tonight, we will tape the version of the town hall meeting that was originally scheduled and you were invited to. These are unprecedented times, and unfortunately, we have to take steps for the public safety and welfare that sometimes is inconvenient. But I promise you this, in the end, we'll persevere and we'll do whatever it takes to defeat this illness and this disease so that we can continue with our normal lives. Thank you.
Good evening, Deputy Chief Andy Benson. I'm the Ops Chief for the Fire Department. We just wanted to put out a little bit of information to the public, just kind of what the Fire Department's doing along with other agencies to do with the coronavirus there that we're doing. The main thing we're asking people to do is stay at home whenever possible, not to go to any kind of public places like movie theaters, restaurants and stuff like that. If you have to get out, we ask you to get out, get back in. When you're in public, keep that 6-10 foot distance away from you, not getting people's faces and stuff. Wash your hands regularly. If you start having any of the symptoms that I'm going to tell you about in a minute, call your doctor. Self-quarantine yourself at home, and deal with issues like that. Our focus is to protect our emergency personnel. First and foremost, who we got with for this information? We got with American Medical Response, the CDC, and Department of Health. Is where we came up to how to protect our people. First of all, the 4 questions that we're going to be asking you, either our dispatch or AMR's dispatch is going to be asking you: are you having difficulty breathing or shortness of breath? That's question number 1. Have you been coughing? Have you had any fever over the past couple of days? And when we say fever, we're saying anything over 100. Have you traveled outside the state of Mississippi recently? Any of those questions, we've directed our personnel to take different actions other than a normal. On a normal call, we come to you similarly dressed with just gloves on, unless there's some kind of indication that we need to take further precaution for our safety. What we're saying in the midst of this epidemic or pandemic is that we will make patient contact only if AMR is not going to be there in a reasonable amount of time. We're going to respond like we do normally, but if AMR is en route and they're going to arrive at a reasonable time, they will do the patient contact. We're there to assist. If they're not going to be there in a reasonable time, we're going to take our people. We're going to have them gown up. We'll have them put on a Tyvek suit. They'll have on eye protection. They'll have an N100 respirator on. That's the way we'll make, and gloves, of course. That's the way we'll make patient contact. We'll deal with it exactly like that. But most of the folks that we understand are impacted by this is over the age of 65. So the more you can stay in and stay out of the public right now is the way we would like you to handle, to make it less of a issue for our response. We're very pleased to open Station 7 up here last month. Man, what it does for the citizens in this area. Is Station 10 in this ward also? Or is it just Station 7? Okay.
Where's Station 7?
Station 7 is right down the road here. Let me get my numeric straight. 1654 Pops Ferry Road, roughly at the corner of Cedar Lake and Pops Ferry. We have an engine, a ladder truck, a heavy rescue. We have we changed all of our specialty rescue response from Station 1 to Station 7. The reason we did that is 7 is centrally located to the city, so it benefits the city greatly. In our response time leaving from here, we can go to any direction. So we will respond to and mitigate calls from high angle rescue to confined space to swift water to hazmat. All of our special teams will come up here. It's a big benefit with us. We have, we got 4 boats in the city of Biloxi we use in the fire department. We have one here specifically for swift water. Yes, sir. Any questions?
How many people were you down because of the coronavirus? There was some concern about manpower.
Well, what we have is an average of 6 personnel per shift. We work 24/48, so just say if you had A, B, and C shift here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, we would be looking at possibly not having 18 people available if you count all 3 days.
Which is a percentage of how much of your entire department?
Less than 20%, 18%, something like that.
Thank you, Chief.
Hey, how are you? I'm Police Chief John Miller. I'm going to start with the Ward 6 police activity for the last 90 days. So we had 2,955 calls for service. Out of that, there were total incident cases, that means there was an actual report made, was 153 times, with 202 different offenses. So that tells us that some of those reports we took included more than one offense. There were 76 arrests. Now those calls ranged from alarms, animal calls, assaults, auto thefts, burglaries, vehicle accidents, domestic problems, juvenile problems. There's a couple of hit and runs, some reckless driving, and some suspicious activity. The things that aren't mentioned in the chart were building checks. There was 127 separate building checks done in Ward 6. 537 extra patrols. That means there was an officer out of the vehicle checking buildings and trying to make sure things were safe, usually after dark. The medical emergencies were 173, which is about average for all the wards. Suspicious activity, there was 94. That could have been someone calling in an issue or something they just didn't feel right about, or the officer going out with something that looked suspicious to him. 306 traffic stops. So when we hear that there's speeders everywhere, that ought to tell you that we're out there. 306 in 90 days just in that area. 472 walk and talks. That means it was 472 separate times that officers were out of the vehicle and actually made contact with someone that way, and it wasn't in reference to a criminal act. This is just the officer out trying to talk to folks and see what's going on in the neighborhood. So there's many more crime stats involved with this, and you can go to www.crimemapping.com/map/Mississippi and /Biloxi. And you can pull up these stats, and there's an awful lot for you to look at. I would recommend that you take a few minutes and familiarize yourself with crime mapping, because there's an awful lot you can do, including you can set up an alert around your own home, so you'd have an idea if you were away that something was going on in your neighborhood. All right, secondly, then I'm going to jump into the Real-Time Crime Center that Biloxi has instituted. We have several people that are working hard on this. As most people know, we have partnered with the NOLA camera system out of New Orleans, and so we're placing cameras all over the city. Some of those are us paying for them. Some of them are private citizens that wanted to get on board with the NOLA camera project. They're placing their own cameras, but everything records back to the Real-Time Crime Center at Biloxi PD. Right now, that's not manned. It's not 24 hours a day, but everything is recorded there. So eventually what we're working toward is to have a manned center, 24 hours a day, to be looking at all these different cameras that will be out throughout the city. So that's working very well for us. It's been a really huge project, but we think it's going well, and we think it's going to really pay off for us in the future. And then as far as the coronavirus goes, just use some common sense, be very vigilant. If you need the police, call, we're going to come. If it's an incident where you can make the report over the phone, we're working on a way to do that now. We would prefer, if we don't have to respond, that we not respond, but if you need us, we absolutely will respond. So anything where there's not a suspect, if it's a barking dog, we can make that you can make that report over the phone, and we can send the officer directly to where the problem is instead of coming and talking with anybody else about the issue. But just keep in mind that the police department is going to be there. Nobody's going to shut down the police department. If there's calls for service, we're going to be there.
What are traditionally your big issues in Ward 6 whenever you have these ward meetings, and how do you address them?
Usually there's a lot of discussion about about traffic, you know, and there's usually a lot of complaints. Some say that the police department's writing too many tickets, and then some say we're not writing enough tickets. So, you know, it's just one of those situations that we have to adjust to. And then, and I'm not going to say it's just in Ward 6. It's with every city and every you know, every ward and every city in the United States. Property crime is probably the one crime that everybody deals with the most. That's burglary or larceny or, you know, any of those crimes where somebody's just taking your property. Those are the bigger crimes that everybody deals with. And those are the ones that we try to solve regularly.
Before we hear from Neighborhood Watch, spring break has been in the news. What's the latest on that?
Well, spring break, the promoters decided to cancel it, which we thought was a great idea. We'd have a lot of people coming from cities that we know are heavily infected right now, being, you know, from Georgia and Texas and Florida, where there's been a lot of cases. So we were elated that the promoters took that stance, that they thought it was a good idea to cancel spring break. Now, we know that we're going to get some spring breakers anyway, and we know that some of the clubs are still have parties planned, and there's some of those parties that we may be able to allow if they're small enough, and there's some that are going to be big enough that we're just not going to be able to allow.
Who's next, John?
Butch Windham. It's going to come up.
Hello, my name is Harold Windham. Butch is my nickname. Everybody calls me Butch. I'm Administrative Services Commander for the Police Department. We handle the Neighborhood Watch. The Biloxi Police Department, we're really behind Neighborhood Watches. You are our eyes in the community. Anybody, any neighborhood that would like to create a Neighborhood Watch, please call us, 228-435-6133. Again, 228-435-6133. We kind of coordinate. You set it up, you put it together, it's your Neighborhood Watch. We just work with you to get that going.
They can also come out to your house and give you some ideas.
Sure, a security checkup, as it were. We'd come out to your house, we'd look around, give you some suggestions. It'd be good to have security lighting here. If you don't have a fence, or if you have a fence, you know, maybe a lock in the backyard, dogs, whatever, you know, we can more than happy to do that for anybody.
The phone number again?
228-435-6133 comes right into Community Relations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christie Lavigne, the Director of the City Engineering Department, and I'm going to update you on a couple of projects that we have going on in your ward. The first one is the Ixalib subdivision. This is a private development that's going to be adding some houses along the Watersview drainage area. You'll notice they're working on, along the Watersview Road. You'll notice they're working along that roadway, trying to put in water and sewer taps for the houses that will be built on Watersview. They will also be repairing a drain line that crosses Watersview. We've gotten some complaints about the contractor blocking the roadway. We've been working very diligently with him to remind him not to block the roadway, to allow access in and out for the residents that live back there. But we do want residents to understand there will be times when it may take him 10 minutes to finish what he's doing, 20 minutes to finish what he's doing, but we're trying to make sure that we stay on top of him and keep y'all's access. The other thing we have going on is Watersview drainage that we are working with the county on. So the people that live in that area will notice there's a swale or a little bayou that comes up, crosses Brazier Road, crosses Watersview, and drains basically that whole area. We are working with Public Works, City Engineering Department, and the county to come in and clean that out. We got all the necessary permits in place because it's all wetlands. We're going to be it's not going to be getting equipment in there, dredging type stuff. It's going to be in there literally with chainsaws in hands, just dragging out down trees, leaves, things like that, so that the water will drain a little bit better. Another major project we have going on in this ward is Elsie Place Phase 3, which is going to connect Medical Park Drive to Elsie Drive, and it's going to connect from basically the neighborhood Walmart to the Santa Maria Del Mar Senior Citizen. So it's not only going to help alleviate traffic coming off of Cedar Lake Road to kind of have a cut through to get to Walmart, but it'll also give those residents at Santa Maria way to get to the Walmart and all the stuff that's in that area. That's underway, should be done probably before the end of the year. Quick update on the Potts Ferry Bridge project. It's not in this ward, but it's also near and dear to everyone's heart. We are applying for another large grant. It's called a build grant at the federal level to fund that bridge. We didn't get the one from last year. We're applying again. Applications are due May 18th, 2020. And just letting everybody know we're still pushing forward, trying to get the funding we need to get that bridge constructed. C-Spire, probably those in Pelican Bayou have already seen the C-Spire crews coming in doing their boring for their fiber optic install. They are working on pulling fiber. They're done boring. They're working on pulling fiber in that neighborhood now. They're going to be boring in Potts Ferry Landing next, and then North Haven is after that. So those neighborhoods will be getting fiber from C-Spire shortly.
If residents were here, they would be asking you, what do they need to know about that work if it tears up their yard?
If it tears up their yard, we have inspectors that are out there trying to keep an eye on it. If not, if you see something that we didn't catch, call us up at engineering 228-435-6269 and put in a service request, and we will send contractors out. We'll send inspectors out to get on the contractor.
Where are they getting ready to start the work?
They're fixing to start in Potts Ferry Landing, and then North Haven is after that.
Would you encourage people to possibly take a picture or two of their area?
Yes, it would be good to take a picture of your existing area before they start. That way if they tear something up, it kind of gives us proof of what it looked like before. I will say C-Spire's contractors have been very good to our residents. They generally get in and fix things right away. We haven't had any issues with them, but if anything should come up, just to let us know. We'll get on them.
Councilman Glavan's been a big advocate of seeing dredging done in some of these small bayous. Where are we with that?
Yes, so with the dredging, we have done dredging in, I can't even remember what areas we've done in your ward now already.
North Haven.
North Haven, that's right. We did all of North Haven. We have some of the other areas we're trying to get permitted now. Some of the areas by like Savannah and where else do we have in there? We have so many.
Isn't there a comprehensive plan being worked on?
There is, and that we're working on a citywide drainage maintenance plan that will basically help us in the future. Instead of, we've been kind of piecemeal on this drainage, kind of jumping all over town. We're trying to get a grip on the drainage, and we're trying to come up with a plan. So one, we have some direction on what needs to be done and when, and two, anytime even a small storm comes in, a tropical storm, it fills bayous up with sediment. And so that gives us a basis. So go back to FEMA and MEMA and say, this is the quantity of sediment we need to be removed. It needs to be removed. Because if we can't prove what was there before, they won't pay for what was in addition.
Director, there's been some obstacles we've had to overcome.
Yes.
The most prevalent is underwater foliage or underwater plants.
Yes.
What is our plan to kind of address that and maybe overcome those obstacles?
So a lot of the areas that we're trying to get permitted now, as Councilman said, have, it's called SAV, Submerged Aquatic Vegetation, which DMR makes you stay 10 feet away from. And it's a new rule, probably in the last 2 or 3 years, really. We are now trying to work with DMR to find out if we can mitigate SAVs. Historically, that's never been done. So there's not really any kind of protocol, there's not any plan how to do that, but we're trying to ask DMR if that is an option, because we have a lot of areas that need to be dredged that residents don't have access to the water because it's filled in, and we can't do anything about it because it's got submerged aquatic vegetation. So we're still trying to work through that. It's new for all of us. So it's probably going to take some time, but we're working on it. That's part of what we're going to try to do in our maintenance plan too, is try to address all that so that we can get these things mitigated. The last thing I need to talk about is Destiny Plantation sidewalks. We met with them last week, and we're going to be doing a little bit of sidewalk work in that subdivision. We're going to be extending the sidewalks out to Brody Road, and they've got a couple spots in their subdivision that need to be, the sidewalks have buckled or whatnot. So we're getting our concrete contractor lined up to do that work in the next couple of weeks. Councilman, anything I've forgotten?
Maybe you can answer this question. Is there an ordinance that requires new subdivisions to put in sidewalks?
Yes, there is.
And maybe Director Krill can talk about that.
Director Krill can probably talk about that better than I could. I know it's there. I don't know exactly what it says.
Okay, we'll ask him to address that
Yeah.
in his portion.
Okay.
Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jiri. I'm the Director of Community Development for the City of Biloxi. Part of our responsibilities in our department is reviewing plans for all new development that comes to the city, both commercial and residential. We actually enforce the zoning ordinances for the city. We do planning, development, building inspection, issues permits, those kind of things. And currently in the city of Biloxi, we have about $80 million in construction going on right now. In addition to the commercial construction, we also have a big boom going on in residential, single-family residential. We have 105 houses under construction right now. But specifically in Ward 6, some projects that are currently under construction. It's already been mentioned that we've just finished up the fire station number 7 next door to where we're meeting tonight. Also, right across from it is the Blake Assisted Living Facility. That's a $15 million project that has a little over 100 living units in it, but is also kind of a mixed-use facility. It has medical amenities and also a number of other living amenities there as well. Also under construction, a new performing arts center for Biloxi High School. We have Camp David, which is an RV park that's going to be located on Cedar Lake Road, and Mr. Parrish will probably address a little bit more in detail about that later. It'll have a restaurant, clubhouse, boat launch along the river, and also maybe some future plans for expansion. In addition to the projects under construction that we've mentioned, also on Pops Ferry Road, just west of Cedar Lake Road on the south side, we're looking at a new large climate control facility to go in there that was recently approved by the City Council. We're also looking at a proposed apartment complex at the northwest corner of Cedar Lake Road and Tribe Drive. Some other projects that are currently underway in the city, not specifically in Ward 6, the Legends Hotel, the Margaritaville expansion, a new community bank main branch downtown, a new 140-unit space RV park on Veterans Avenue, a new J-Mark convenience store on 67, and the construction of the boardwalk continues around the peninsula. Some projects that are currently under review is an expansion for Treasure Bay Casino, a new hotel structure at the Flamingo Beach site, and also Bertucci Park, which is what we call a planned district. It's a mixed-use development to be located at the corner of Atkinson Road and Pops Ferry Road. You'll be hearing more about that later. Concerning the question of sidewalks, yes, the land development ordinance does require that sidewalks are put in new subdivisions and along new development. What we're doing with a lot of the infill construction that's going on also to make sure we get sidewalks is that we've taken the step not to issue a certificate of occupancy for any new single-family house until the sidewalk is in place. So we're getting a lot of cooperation on that, and it's making Biloxi a more bikeable and walkable city, so we're excited about that. We have some other projects under discussion or on the table. I'm not at liberty to discuss right now, but we'll be releasing that as soon as we're allowed. Questions?
That's good. Thank you.
Do you want to introduce Councilman Glavan's special guest this evening?
Yes, this is one of our developers that we've been working with, Mark Parrish. He's the developer for the Camp David RV Resort, and he'll provide more details about that.
Jerry. I'm Mark Parrish. I'm developing the Camp David RV Resort in Cedar Lake. It'll be a 72 spot high-end RV resort. We'll do. I'm also building a clubhouse that'll have a restaurant as well. On Thursday, we'll erect the all cranes. Going to set the 150-foot flagpole, and I got a 50 by 80 American flag. So Biloxi will have the largest flying American flag in the southeastern United States after Thursday. And we're going to put in a boardwalk that'll go back to it. I still got to get with DMR and get final approval on that. But I'd like to have it to where that the general public can come out and enjoy the area with the beach we got and with the boardwalk. I want to make it a development that will benefit the community, where everyone can come out and enjoy it's really beautiful out there. I think that that's one of our big things in South Mississippi. This is God's country. We have some great waterways, and I want to really promote the ecotourism. For instance, out there, we right across the river is where the Mad Potter used to go get the clay, and we have quite a bit of waterways across the river that are owned by the land trust, and that whole area back there is gorgeous. So we're gonna, in addition to having the RV park, I'll also be doing kayak, canoe, paddleboard rentals, and then also like a charter service where you'll be able to come out and rent a pontoon boat, but I'll provide the captain and the gas and ice and everything else. And so we'll be doing that. And then I'm trying to think more specifically, we should have I'm trying to get the first 32 spots open within the next 2 weeks. And we're shooting for May 1st to have the full facility up and running. Also in the works, it's been approved, I'm building a resort-style pool that will have a swim-up bar and a grotto and a big waterfall, and probably going to offer a membership for local folks that want to come out and enjoy it. Shooting to have that ready by July 4th. We're working towards it. That's not a guarantee though, so I've got to go back and get additional funding for the pool. But it's if you're in the area, you can stop by after we get open. The first part open, probably in about 2 weeks.
Mark, my wife and I had the pleasure to spend several hours with you out there, and it is beautiful. And your passion and your DNA and just your vision, you were able to share a little bit of that with us. Describe to everybody watching today when the fencing and the detail of the wrought iron fencing along with the brick columns, and also talk about the history of why is the name Camp David relevant.
So my grandfather, David Cates, he bought that property, or a section of that property, when he got back from World War II. And it was, my dad grew up out there. He was a Vietnam veteran, and that was the last place he went before he passed. And actually the flag was a promise to him. But it's been in my family for quite a while. Since World War II, I guess, after World War II. And then I of course purchased the peninsula and 2 other pieces, or 3 other pieces. And so it's family property where it started out, and my dad left his property to me, so I promised him I wouldn't sell it. And so I had to do something with it. And I feel like this will be the way to share it with the community, so everyone else can go out there and enjoy I just think it's magnificent out there, but I'm probably biased. But then as far as the front entrance goes, we're actually going to take and build 2 lighthouses at the entrances. I really tried to get the Biloxi lighthouse replicas, but they're a lot harder to build. So we're going to have to go with just 2 regular lighthouses, but the ironwork and whatnot, trying to borrow as much from local architecture as possible. For instance, the tower on my building is my architect Frank Genzer used inspiration from the Mad Potter, or his workstation, or his workhouse, I guess, whatever it was, had a similar tower like that on it. But as far as the brick goes and the metalworks, we're trying to use as much from local architecture as possible. I found some pictures of what the lighthouse, our Biloxi lighthouse, the metalwork around the fence looked like, and we used that to kind of replicate that look.
When are you going to open?
So the first 2 weeks, working to get the first 32 spots online within the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to have to, I say the next 2 weeks. We got to get the siding and the roof on before I can do that. We've also got to bring in it's like a bathroom trailer with like with facilities, so that the public has access to those things. But once we get the facility complete with the elevator and everything else, then we can get rid of that stuff. But hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'll have the first 32 online, and then we're shooting for May 1st for the facility completion and the grand opening, or in that general time frame. And then I'm working to get the pool done by July 4th.
You say the first 32, how many will there be total?
72.
72. Question, it seems like you've put a lot of research into how to make this thing just weave right into the community.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there a rendering somewhere online, either a Facebook page or a website where people could look and see more about it?
Absolutely. There's the Facebook page. It's Camp David Biloxi, I believe is the Facebook page name, or just Camp David. And then I'll have campdavidbiloxi.com online by tomorrow evening. So
Thank you.
working to get the website complete. All right,
Thank you
all.
very much.
God bless.
Councilman Glavan, you want to make some closing remarks about everything?
Yes, I would. First of all, I'd like to thank several people. I'd like to thank the folks at the Innovation Center for allowing us to host this meeting today under these circumstances. I'd like to thank Vince Krill for him making a suggestion that we change the format to these individual testimonies. I think it went very well. Of course, our city directors, thank y'all so much. I work so hard on what you do, and to give some information that's relevant to this ward and the city is very, very important. And our keynote speaker, I'd like to thank Mark for his vision. We need more people like you to come to our great city and do these special things that we can share with the visitors and the locals alike. I'd like to thank our mayor tonight and pray for him. He is working very diligently. This is wearing heavy on his head, but if there's anyone up to the task, it is our mayor, Andrew Gillich, that is the man to kind of lead us through these trying times. And each and every one of you today, God bless you and God bless Biloxi. We will get through this, and we will continue our stance as one of the greatest cities in the world. Thank you.